Hi, I'm DJ Ware, and this is the Cyber Gizmo, and today is Wednesday, and Wednesday is tutorial days. I've had a number of people that have been asking me to do a tutorial on SELinux. Wow, that's a complicated subject. So let's talk a little bit about what SELinux is. So SELinux stands for Security Enhanced Linux, and it is a powerful thing called mandatory access controls. You might also see it listed as MAC, M-A-C. Those are systems that are integrated into the Linux kernel directly, and then there is a package around it which helps you to identify and create policies that the kernel will then take and enforce. So, and those are strict policies, and those manage what users can do, what applications can do, and who gets access to what files and what directories on your system. Also, you can secure hardware resources as well. The whole purpose behind SELinux is to just add a layer of security beyond the traditional Linux permissions. And if you're curious, Linux permissions are called DAC, discretionary access controls. I have heard so much confusion around ACLs. That's the extension to DAC. And those are FACL, get FACL, set FACL. Though the ACLs are part of POSIX, and they are an extension to DAC, but they are not MAC. They are not mandatory access controls. If you're setting permissions on a file, you're setting it for a group of users or a particular user, or you're opening it up to the world. Now, ACLs have a little more fine-grained control. FACLs, you could do, oh, well, that group I'm going to give read access to. That person is an administrator. They're going to get full access. That particular user just gets read access, or in some cases, that person only gets write access. That is, they can submit text, but they can't do anything with it. DAC is the default security model in Linux. And that is, it's the familiar chmod and chown. Those are the things that you change the owner, you change the mods, or the permissions. It's flexible, but, it's kind of old. It goes back to the Unix days. And you can misconfigure it pretty easily and end up opening things up that you never intended to. And you can grant broad access capabilities, which is never a good idea today. And mandatory access controls allows very fine-grained controls. You can enforce them system-wide. You can make them administrator-defined. You can create policies that can't be overridden by anybody on the system. So yeah, SELinux uses labels and a combination of labels and security contexts to decide whether access is allowed or not. The other problem with ACLs is that they're still controlled by the file owner. If I own the file, I can do what I want with it. I can grant permissions to whoever I want. That's why it's called discretionary. What are we going to do today? So you could set up Red Hat, you could set up Debian, you could set up Ubuntu, but here's the thing. If you're using a Red Hat-based system, usually they come already pre-installed with SELinux already on them. If you're bringing in Debian or Ubuntu, they typically use AppArmor. So AppArmor is a different thing. I did a video. You can see about it right there. I'll put a link to it. So if you are interested in looking at the differences between the two, it'll explain it. AppArmor is a lot easier than SELinux, but I did see some comments in that video where I use both. That's a really bad idea. I wouldn't do that. You need to pick which one you're going to use. Don't use both. The reason why you don't want to use both is you could leave gaps in your security and unintentionally because you think AppArmor did it or SELinux did it. The other problem you have is if you get a condition where a file is getting permission denied, it's not allowing you to write it or or you're having issues trying to move it, you don't know which one of the two did it. So do yourself a favor. Don't install, make a choice. And I'll make it easy for you. If you're on Fedora or Red Hat, use SELinux. Or Rocky or Alma, those, or or Euro Linux, or even Oracle Linux, use SELinux. It comes out of the box. It's already set up. It's already enforcing. If you're on Debian or Ubuntu, use AppArmor. But here's the thing: if you're on a server, use SELinux. If you're on a desktop, use AppArmor. Again, there's not every use case that's going to fall neatly into those two buckets. But for me, that helps. I mean, it keeps my sanity as I know where I can expect to find something and where I can expect not to find something. So the other thing that we're going to do today is we're going to use Fedora 41 Workstation to install this today. And we're gonna play around with a couple of ideas with a web server on how you can protect the directory that you're serving your web pages from. So I'm going to make a couple of suggestions. If you're new to SELinux and you don't understand, what the hell are you talking about when you say Mac and I don't understand. What do you mean? There's a book that Dan Walsh did. It's free. I think you can find it out on the Red Hat site. It's called the SELinux Coloring Book. It's not very long. It's about, 15 pages long or so, but it's for people that are totally new to SELinux, have no clue what they're totally beginners to security on Linux. But it'll go through and kind of in a gentle way, using dogs and cats basically to explain how things work. And once you get past the introduction today, my suggestion is there's a couple of books. I'll put the links below for you. There's the SELinux Administrator's Handbook, and there's also one is called SELinux by Example. Both of those books have been around a while. SELinux hasn't changed all that much in the years. They have some things that they have added on to it, but and you can, if you don't need a tutorial kind of approach, you can always go to the Red Hat site and pull down their SELinux manual. They have a good one. They have one for every version of the operating system. Second piece of advice I would give you is, if you're going to mess around with SELinux, don't use your workstation. Don't use one of your production servers. It's all too easy to get something wrong. All it takes is a typo, and you could block yourself right out of your own system. So yeah, just be aware of that. I mean, I don't know how many times when I was first learning SELinux that I would blow myself out of the water, lock myself out of the system, and then I couldn't get back in to do anything and ended up having to reinstall it. Well, I don't want you to have to do that. So my suggestion is go get yourself, if you don't have a virtual manager, go get VirtualBox. I use Proxmox, so that's what I'll be using today to set up my virtual machines. I would suggest 2 CPUs, 4 gig of memory, and 20 gig of disk, maybe. For this exercise, I can't imagine it would take more than that. And then after you get it built, take a snapshot of it so that if you do make a mistake, you can roll back. And then and that's in case something goes wrong. All right, so let me go get set up, and let's come back and let's start walking through it. The first thing you should always do is make sure it's up to date. And I'm going to probably have nothing to update because I'm using everything, which basically is a network install. So yeah, I should get all the latest stuff already. So I'm good to go here. So the first thing, let me just clear this mess off. So the first thing you should do is, now you can do it this way, SE secure and status, SE status. And you may not get exactly the same thing. Yours might say disabled, or it might say enforcing, but SELinux status is enabled. It has my mount. It shows the root directory. The policy name is targeted. that is default and that is what you want. If you see anything other than this, yeah, you might want to go and check. There's the config file. And in there, you'll see it says SELinux is enforcing. You can set it to 3 settings. You can disabled, or you can set it to permissive. And then SELinux type is targeted. It can be targeted minimum or MLS. We're going to leave it at targeted, and that means that the processes that I specify are protected. And the next thing, I mean, we don't need to, I mean, I can do this just to make sure that I have everything installed. I want SELinux policy, SELinux policy. This is, remember, this is one of the types that we have, and then I want policy core utils. It should come back and say they're already installed and there's nothing to do. When would you use permissive? Permissive is really good to use when you're debugging because it won't lock you out of the system. It won't actually protect the file. It just tells you what it would have done. Sort of like, you know, I'm just gonna run this through in a dry run situation, and that's kind of what you're doing with it. All right, so like I said, we're going to set up an Apache, and we're going to secure the /var/www.html. So yeah, I did that the way you said it in the 90s. But in case you were wondering, and I'm going to install the HTTP. This is Apache, obviously, and I'm going to do a system control enable now HTTPD, and then we can check the status on it, make sure it is up, and it is. Okay, very good. So there are security contexts. A security context is, you can think of it as, this is the policy that I am using to protect a resource. So it has, you have a label and you have a context, and together those are what permits things to be protected. See, so let me show you. Let me show what I mean. Let's go and look. So if I do a normal ls, I get the normal directories, right? But if I do an L capital Z, I get some extra stuff here. This is your context. This up to the colon. So there's U object, object R, HTTP, sys content _ T. So this is the context this is the targeted context for HTTPD, which means that files in here that match that context on the directory are allowed to be accessed. If I have a file in this directory that doesn't have that, then it won't be accessed. So yeah, that's the idea behind it. The first thing we want to do is we'll do a change context, CHCON, and this is the target, and it's default. And now we're going to set it on var www HTML. Sorry, gotta do it the way you do it in the 90s, because that's the way they said it. All right, so now again, I don't see nothing. Now I should see default instead of the HTTPD sys context. Now I get default. So what happens if I create? Okay, so I created a file real quick, and so it's in there, index.html. So if I go after that right now, first of all, let me show you this. So we have unconfined, we have object_r, and we have our HTTP6 content _t. That's our targeted protection. So this should, yeah, it brings up my test page. So all good. Everything's good. I know it's kind of stupid, but hey, I'm just trying to test it. That's all I'm trying to do. All right. So, okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to screw things up. We're going to set our context to -t default under t, and we're going to go bar www.html. Yeah, you got to do it the way they do it, and then index.html. No, that's not going to work. Let's try this one. Okay. Now let's look at now. We have it set default. Now let's go back here and see what happens. It doesn't like that, does it? It didn't like it. Now, if I look in my, yeah, see the warning coming up. SE has detected something. Okay, and now let's go here. I should get my test page back. Ta-da! So that, I know this is a quick lesson. I'm just doing my job to get you to look for yourself on how to do this stuff, because I don't know what you're trying to do. You do. But there's a lot of things you can protect with this. I mean, you can protect cache files. You can protect zone files. You can, if you're DNS, you can protect your Samba configuration so that somebody can't open it up or inject malware into your the directory where you have files that are being shared. So there's a lot of different uses for this, and my advice is, if you're using Fedora, you can, and you just want the user guide, Fedora has one as well that's specific to their distro. There's also one on the SELinux project website. I'll put all these links down below for you. And then there's the books are SELinux by example. That's by Frank Mayer. And there's one by SELinux Systems Administration. That's by Sven Vermeulen. I think that Vermeulen. I don't know. And those two books are kind of pricey, but the way I look at it is, if this is something you're doing every day and you need to be sharp in it, you need to understand all the different kinds of things and how you can apply use cases. So I've kind of given you, so my final thoughts are, start with a VM. That's safety in mind, because remember, you can lock this is like a firewall that if you misconfigure it, you could lock yourself out. Whether you pick SELinux or AppArmor, that's up to you, and whatever your use case is you're trying to solve. I mean, AppArmor is different. It is, yeah, it's not the same. They are not the same. Yeah, SELinux is more difficult but goes deeper. AppArmor is easier, but it doesn't go as deep. You can't do as much with AppArmor as you can with SELinux. The other thing is practice and learn these techniques and go through it. You can start with policies that already exist. There are GitHub sites where you'll find policies for different types of software packages, whether it be Kubernetes or Docker or Ansible, or whether you just want to do it yourself and start from scratch. But those two books that I gave you will help you even develop your own policies. Anyway, that's all I had for today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe and share this out with your friends. I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.